Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. First tonight, the Commission of Inquiry into Sexual Abuse has resumed public hearings with a focus on the Ashley Youth Detention Centre. The centre slammed as a monster and anti-child, with former detainees giving horrifying descriptions of the suffering they claim to have faced. And a warning, some people may find the contents of this report distressing.
Designed to be a place of rehabilitation, it instead was a place of nightmares. Commission of Inquiry lawyers delivering a blunt assessment of Tasmania's infamous youth detention centre.
There was no suggestion in those earlier hearings that the whole institution was itself, of its nature, a threat to the safety of children. The coming days of hearings are different.
Council pulling no punches about Ashley's culture.
Here you may find that it's Ashley that's the monster. And it appears from the earliest time the culture and practices at Ashley have fallen short of what the Youth Justice Act intended.
And its effect on youth.
Almost be described as anti-child. A culture in which children are not valued, their needs are not regarded as important, and harm done to them is not taken seriously.
The first 2 witnesses tabling their evidence under pseudonyms. One of them, named Warren, had multiple stints at Ashley. His statement describing numerous acts of physical and sexual abuse by certain guards, including while receiving medication.
None of them would give me my medication until I did the sexual acts on them. The abuse happened a total of 50 occasions.
Also threatened with assault if he spoke up. And when detainees did complain,
it would always get back to the workers and they would tell each other about it. They would make your life hell and you suffered more.
2 youth workers also testifying about a lack of support for staff stood down.
No investigations whatsoever. Why would anyone want to work at Ashley Youth Detention Centre?
Also slamming the time they were given to prepare, with one doing her statement at the centre.
Workers walking around me when I got an opportunity to get on the computer.
And I did mine at home in between looking after my husband.
7 hearings will be run this block, with lawyers warning.
We expect that the Tasmanian community will be horrified by some of the evidence.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
And if this story has caused you distress, you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Paramedics have taken an unprecedented move tonight, walking off the job at the Royal Hobart Hospital. For more, we're joined now by state political reporter Josh Duggan. Good evening, Josh. What's happening there tonight?
Louise, about 20 minutes ago, paramedics here walked off the job at the end of their shift instead of staying late as they so often do, and they were joined by other colleagues who were mid-shift. They're protesting pay and working conditions and say that the department isn't bargaining in good faith with them. We recently saw a situation where a woman died having waited for 9 hours for help at the Launceston Emergency Department. And there was another situation where people have been asked to call taxis instead of an ambulance to the hospital. We've recently received a statement from the Health Department saying they are committed to bargaining in good faith, but the paramedics here say that it's just not safe for patients and staff at the moment. They've joined the long list of public sector workers that are striking this week, along with educators and child safety officers, with the public sector in striking frequently at the moment. But there has been one small win for the government, with the nurses union indicating that they are likely to accept a peace deal. Louise?
The New Homes Tasmania organisation is one step closer to being established, with a second reading this afternoon in Parliament. More houses urgently needed, as one option for remote students could be disappearing.
A crucial student support system set to be lost.
The only comprehensive hostel for remote and rural students in Hobart, Springvale Student Residence, is set to close.
The Department of Education is currently providing support to residents and their families and prospective students,
with a focus on individual solutions for those affected by the closure of the 32-bed site.
Surely refurbishing that existing site and finding another operator has to be an option.
Finding a place to live, no small task in an overheating housing market. A proposed inquiry by independent Christy Johnston was shot down yesterday, following concerns of skyrocketing rents and fearful tenants.
I am looking at all of this. I did say to the House that obviously we're committed as a government to reviewing the Residential Tenancy Act.
Another bill establishing Homes Tasmania continued its path through Parliament today with a second reading. The body would be involved with all aspects of social and affordable housing.
This legislation creates a role for Homes Tasmania in broader housing considerations beyond what the current department has historically held.
However, the opposition says the government's rushed the bill and there's a better way to get more homes built.
To allow the public sector to get on with the job that they are doing and to resource them better to do that.
With hundreds of Tasmanians left in the cold, a housing solution is desperately needed. Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian electoral reform laws are on track to be debated before the end of this year. Attorney General Elise Archer told State Parliament today that it's her expectation that will happen. However, she dodged questions about the specifics of the laws, which would still be some of the least transparent in the country. Parts of the state continue to be lashed by rain, with the north predominantly bearing the brunt. The SES has been kept busy, while the Bureau of Meteorology says the flooding risk will ease over the next few days, with snow potentially rounding out the weather event.
Wet and wild. The weather showing no signs of reprieve following days of miserable conditions. In the north, Hadspen is still on flood watch, the Lions Park still underwater.
Well, the water is completely covering the car park. The toilet block's half underwater.
Parts of the state waterlogged, with the SES out monitoring the situation.
The soil is saturated, there is potential for trees to come down.
Cars navigating their way around fallen trees in the Meander Valley, with wild weather also impacting the Bass Highway, prompting police to monitor the roads.
Pretty well everywhere in Tasmania is saturated, so any rain is leading to the infeed of potential for riverine flood rising. The north in particular is the wettest place at the moment.
The Trevelyan Dam overflowing, with onlookers watching the river rapids.
Just spectacular.
High water levels also saw the Launceston Surf Life Saving Club submerged.
This is the worst flood we've had since 2016, and we've had the water halfway up the shed. So with a bit of luck, there won't be too much damage inside, but we really don't know till we can get in.
With the water rising rapidly on Tuesday, the club was unable to remove gear from the shed, estimating a potential $40,000 worth of damage. The Bureau of Meteorology says the conditions won't ease for at least a few more days.
Well, thankfully, things ease quite significantly, quite quickly from Tuesday morning next week.
McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
Police are warning all riders to wear the appropriate safety gear after a crash in Hobart's CBD last night. Emergency services were called to the intersection of Barrack and Liverpool Street just after 5 o'clock. Police say early investigations suggest a bike struck a metro bus while travelling through a green light. A 27-year-old man was treated in the Royal Hobart Hospital for non-life-threatening injuries. He wasn't wearing a helmet. A dramatic arrest has been caught on camera at Hobart Airport. A 25-year-old Hobart man allegedly behaved in an abusive and disorderly manner on a flight arriving in Hobart last night. He's been charged with a number of offences, including drug possession and resisting and assaulting police. He was due to face court today. Tasmanians today honoured Vietnam veterans who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our country. A day of remembrance and remorse as officials dedicated the state services to our First Nations soldiers who were met with racism and ignorance upon returning home.
A gruelling conflict stained in the memories of those who laid down their lives.
It's a remembrance of their sacrifice, just what they have suffered and put up just to retain the freedom of this country.
Vietnam Veterans Day services held across the state with special tribute paid to our First Nations soldiers.
Welcome to all of you here on our land.
Years ago, we weren't recognised. We were, left, taken out of the army, back to civilian life, and no one wanted to know anything about us.
It's time our Aboriginals were really given
the credit that they should have been given years ago.
Laying reefs and reflecting on Australia's longest battle, it was an emotional day for everyone involved.
It's the first time I've come. I haven't been able to talk about being in Vietnam all my life because there's something about the war that everybody that's been involved in it in any way wants to forget.
I lost one of my good friends over there, so yeah, you do get emotional.
A minute's silence for the fallen soldiers who never made it home. But live on in our hearts. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
A crucial southern mental health support service will be operational early next year. The Premier visited the construction site of Hobart's Peacock Centre today with workers from Hanson Yunkin who have installed its own artwork on the site.
At last count, I think we've got over 70 people who have put their hands on this wall or left notes of goodwill and pictures, and this will become a part of the fabric of the building forevermore.
Initiatives such as Raise a Hand for Mental Health really highlights the fact to engender and create discussion in our community about the importance of mental health.
Work to rebuild the centre after a 2016 fire were dealt a setback late last year when another blaze was deliberately lit. Tasmania's manufacturers will soon be able to secure a share of state government funding. Round 3 of the Advanced Manufacturing Accelerating Growth Grants has been launched. Companies can access up to $100,000 to buy equipment to help them expand operations.
The program helps Tasmanian companies to become more competitive, more resilient and better able to scale up to better compete in global markets.
It's estimated the sector is worth more than $7 billion to the local economy. Some talented students are preparing for the performance of their lives when they accompany music legend James Morrison on stage. St Patrick's College musicians will learn from one of the best in the industry, impressing audiences this Saturday night.
Sharing the stage with an Australian music legend, these St Pat's students are gearing up for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Super excited, but a little bit nervous as well. Definitely never thought this opportunity would come about.
They're very excited. I think they are in their own quiet way. They've certainly been working very, very hard in preparation.
James Morrison will perform with 40 students at the Launceston Concert Centre this Saturday.
He's very, very impressive musician. I think nearly every brass player and musician aspires to be like him.
Marking a major milestone for the state.
This is an absolute first for St Patrick's College, and I also could say it's an absolute first for Tasmania in general.
It's an experience all too familiar for music coordinator Fiona Mowat, who shared the stage with James when she was a Year 12 student.
I was invited, without my knowing, to come on stage and play with him on the spot with his quartet, and that's... Every time I talk about that, I still smile. And for me as a teacher, I want to be able to give my students opportunities like that.
With rehearsals in full swing, audiences can expect to be graced with some well-known tunes. Hitting all the right notes. McKenna Bailey, 7 Tasmania News.
The Salvo's Sleep Out is gearing up for its return, aiming to raise more than $100,000 to keep its Street to Home program alive. 4 events will take place with 70 participants already registered.
We have people who will come and speak and share. We do a walk around the city to look at some areas where people are sleeping rough and also places where they can receive help.
The Hotel Grand Chancellor hosting the Hobart Sleep Out.
If you've spent a night sleeping rough on Hobart's waterfront, even in a safe environment like this, you can't walk by a homeless person without acknowledging them afterwards.
And with spots still available, event organisers are encouraging Tasmanians to brave a night in someone else's sleeping bag. A young Hobart student has made the ultimate donation, giving up her luscious locks, all in the name of charity. 9-year-old Lottie Rainbird says the sacrifice of her long hair is nothing compared with what some children go through.
I used to watch a show called Katie and Alexa, and she had cancer, so I've been growing, and then I just cut my hair to be made into a wig.
She's just done such an amazing thing for another little girl to be able to have some beautiful hair who's lost theirs to cancer.
With the help of her mum, Lottie has already raised more than $2,500 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Turning to basketball, day one of pre-season for the Jack Jumpers has taken place in an unconventional manner as players help pack apples at Willie Smith's cider. That's how the side's newest hand-picked addition was welcomed to the squad after impressing at trials earlier this month. Josh Tomasi was the apple in Scott Roth's eye.
He's just a big, rolling, athletic, strong, powerful kid that is just scratching the surface.
The 20-year-old is the Jack Jumpers' newest development player. Born in Melbourne and plucked from a team in Minnesota, Tomasi's drawn to Tasmania's down-to-earth work ethic.
The guys are, maybe not superstars, but they're all, stars in their own role. Blue-collar team.
And it was blue-collar work on day one of pre-season, the Jack Jumpers swapping the paint for pallets at Willie Smith's cider. Despite some off-season changes to the squad, the coach says he isn't comparing apples and oranges.
I'm not very smart, so we're going to do the exact same thing that we did last year and just do it with more intensity and better.
Josh Majet's on board with that idea, signing on with more confidence after coming so close to a title in season one.
It felt right, it's just I enjoyed coming into work every day. I knew the environment that was created here, and I knew it was something I wanted to be a part of for as long as I can be.
As for the sharpest shooter in the shed,
they're very competitive. It doesn't matter whether they're packing apples or playing basketball or even getting to the venue. They seem to be very, very competitive.
A nature sure to extend to the court when pre-season matches begin in Ulverston and Launceston early next month. We could be seeing a grand final preview in the NBL 1 on Saturday night when the Hobart Chargers take on Sandringham in the qualifying final. Despite being the minor premier, the Chargers coach rates the Sabres as the favourite for the title. The Chargers have a clean bill of health for the clash and are keeping a close eye on Sandringham's hot hands.
They've got the best point guard in the country, even if you look at NBL level. Shea Ili is right up there. There's been no hidden agenda. We've said it from the start. I'll say it again. We're going after that NBL 1 championship.
The game's at the Hobart Netball and Sports Centre in Newtown, not Kingston, where the bulk of Chargers games have been this year. Tip-off is at 8 o'clock. To the State League, Lauderdale's finals hopes hang on its performance against Kingborough. The Southern Bombers have been dealt a lucky hand, with Tigers guns Kieran Lovell and Jack Tompkinson set to miss the match through injury. The club was struggling to field a reserve side this time last season. Now, players are fighting for spots.
We want those guys to be training to their full ability to be able to prepare the senior team.
One term that I hate, and it's sort of been bandied around a little bit, is dead rubber. We know that they're going to bring the heat, they're going to bring their A game, which is perfect grounding for us for what finals looks like.
A Lauderdale win will secure its place in the finals, otherwise they'll be relying on the result of North Launceston's clash against Glenorchy. The South East Suns are the newest team to join the Tasmania Netball League. Representing the Sorell region, the Suns have a 5-year plan to make finals after they join in 2023. They'll bring the State League back to an 8-team competition. They're the first team to join since the Burnie Tigers and OHA pulled out in 2019. 6 Launceston boxers will make their in-ring debuts under the gaze of local legend Daniel Gill on Saturday night. Brendan Micheletto will be among those hoping to impress the 3-time world champion, while 18-year-old Charlotte Brooke is also making her debut and can't wait to hear the opening bell ring.
Adrenaline, full adrenaline, and I'm just going to have so much fun.
Trying to keep calm and kill the nerves, and I'm sure I should be right once I get in the ring.
2 Afghan refugees are also on the card, which serves as a trial for the state titles. Gill's former coach Graham George is running the fight night, which is on at the Newstead PCYC.
Good evening. Hobart 17 degrees today. Launceston, Burnie and Devonport all locked together on 15. Bushy Park, Campania and Friendly Beaches out top with 18. Warmer weather over the southeast today, but all temperatures above average. Grove 17, Flinders Island 16, King Island 15, Low Head and St Helens 14 and 13 the top in Strahan. Very windy conditions today, bringing showers to the north and west and a bad hair day for the rest of Tasmania. And there's the look of the cloud across the state. The high-level band of cloud is also moving over southeastern Australia, and another band of cloud is over South Australia, and cold air sits over the bight. Plenty more to come our way. Tomorrow a front moves our way. To our east, a small warm front brings warmer northwesterlies over us as well. A trough lies over eastern Australia. Winds still blowing a bit, 20 to 30 knot northwesterlies over the coast, lighter winds inland with swells at 4 metres. A strong wind warning has been issued for all coastal waters for those northwesterlies again. Minor flood warnings for the Macquarie, Meander, North Esk and South Esk rivers. Friday shapes up like this. A shower or two developing over Hobart, 14 the maximum. 14 also for Campania, Huonville 13 degrees. Launceston a top of 14 with showers on the way. Showers developing for Devonport and Georgetown, 13 degrees for those centres. 13 as well for Burnie, 13 as well for Strahan and for Wynyard with showers in the west and northwest. St Helens a shower or two as well, 14 the top, 14 also for Swansea and Port Arthur. Showers easing and contracting to the west and far south on Saturday afternoon with snow possible to 500 metres. A cold day on Sunday with showers developing over the north and west, and on Monday snow to lower levels as showers reach over most of the state. Cloudy weather for Perth. Showers on the way for Adelaide, Melbourne, Canberra and Sydney. Brisbane warming up to 26 degrees. And currently it's partly cloudy in Hobart, 11, mostly cloudy in Launceston, 11, and the same in Devonport. And Lou, oh, it was a bad hair day.
God, like you could talk. Thanks for that, Merv. That's all your news for now. We'll be back later on with updates. Thank you for joining us. Good night.